Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
So you ready? Here
I'm
we
ready.
are. Welcome,
Hey there.
April. Welcome to my YouTube/podcast show. And so this is our second time chatting on here. And this is your second competition. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So, like, I feel like you are a seasoned pro at this, April. So, for the listeners that don't know you, what is your, obviously your name is April, but what is your real life? What is your real life scenario like? Tell everybody what you do.
Okay. Well, I'm a mom. I have 4 kids. I have a husband. He has a couple kids himself. So we have a large family. I'm a business owner, so I also work full time, have an employee, have a very busy life taking care of children and my business. But I'm also love to work out. So that's like my fun time is going to the gym and working out and doing bodybuilding.
Yes. I think a lot of people think that if you're a competitor, that that's like all you do, which a lot of people do, but it is really hard when it comes to being a business owner and a mom and doing it all together, right? So what would you tell somebody who wants to compete or they're thinking about competing, but they feel like they have too much going on? What would you tell them?
Well, I just feel like it's a choice and you can choose what you have going on. Even if you have a ton of stuff going on, if you really want something, you can make time for it.
Yeah, I feel like for me personally, I almost do better when I have more going on
Hmm.
because you have to plan it more. So you have to be more structured, right? Which kind of makes everything come together a little bit better. A lot of times people have so much wasted space that they don't really realize where their time goes. They
Hmm.
get sucked into like an hour of scrolling through Instagram in the morning. And it's like, you could be working out then,
Hmm. Hmm.
So it is a choice for sure. So when was your last competition, April?
In November, I competed at the Rocky. It's November 7th, and then I reversed dieted after that. It went pretty well. I didn't gain a ton of weight. I still went up, obviously, in body fat, but it was a pretty good reverse as well.
So how much do you think that how much, what was like what was the difference between your stage weight and the max that you got before you started this cut?
Um, like my stage weight now or before? Like,
Before.
cause I think before I went down to maybe 157 on stage. I have a lot of muscle, so I weigh a lot. But then
That's good.
I I went up. Probably the highest I went was like 175.
In your
Um,
reverse.
yeah, in my reverse, and that, I mean, that was a little heavier than I wanted to be, but I mean,
Well, that's
still,
awesome though, because that's not
yeah.
even 20 pounds.
No, no, it wasn't. And I mean, we monitored it pretty close and tried to stay on like some sort of a plan. Of course, it's much harder when you're not on prep because like there's so many opportunities to eat.
All right. Well, and there's always the opportunities, right? So
Hmm.
you're on a team, right?
Hmm.
With your coach as a team. So tell me about who is your coach, and so I can you'll have to send me his contact info so I can post it in the notes too. But tell me about that.
Oh yeah, my team. I'm with Team Rogers. Justin Rogers is my coach. He's awesome. He's such a great coach. He has taught me a lot about bodybuilding, and I just like his style because uh, he knows how to make me do better. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Like he knows if I've messed up, he could just look at me and know.
Right.
And he
Right.
knows how to push me to do even better. So anyway, and I have a great team too. Like everyone on my team, they're so encouraging and supportive, and it's like a family. Uh,
Right.
we get along really well. We encourage each other, and we all are at the same gym. We see each other every day. It's like we're gonna have a big sleepover this weekend and have
Oh,
fun together. I love it. I That's one of my favorite parts is like like the gym family that I
right.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked with Lori earlier, and we were talking about just the whole camaraderie in competition, and backstage, and
Hmm.
everybody, you know, for the most part, I mean, I have come across people over the years who are not very pleasant, but
Hmm.
I feel like 90% of the people who compete, they're just so there to support each other, right? Because they know how hard it was to get there. So, like a lot of my friends that I have made and kept for years have been meeting people at competitions. So I think it's a great thing. And especially if you're on a team with your coach and you have a team to be with, it just makes, you've got that bond that's pretty special, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
you would probably tell somebody interested in competing that that might be a good route to go, right? Is to find a coach.
Yes, definitely. I would never do this without a coach. I couldn't do it without a coach. And then also you want to make sure, like for me, it's really nice to have that, you know, the coach here in person. Some people do great with online coaches, and that's
Mhm.
awesome. Um, but definitely you have to have a coach,
Yeah.
especially if you're new.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, and like I say, I'm a coach, but coaches even need coaches.
Mhm.
Because I have prepped myself to compete, and I have used various coaches to compete, and they have been online for the most part because well, I mean, I'm sure I could find somebody local, but it just worked out better for me because my life is so crazy to do online. But I will say that, one of the biggest reasons why is that even as a coach, I can tell changes in my own pictures, right? But you
Mhm.
can't see it on yourself in the mirror. But the closer you get to competition, I would say, at least for me, I feel good like up until probably maybe the last month. I really need like a second set of eyes, and so it's good to have a coach to give you that second set of eyes to tell you like if you're on the right track.
Mhm.
Little changes that you can make. And so that the closer you get tired, right? You become exhausted. It's hard to think. And like when I'm prepping myself, it's kind of like I'm probably not making the best decisions at that point. So it's really
Yeah.
helpful to have somebody else tell you and guide you, right? And what you need to be doing for sure. Um, so your last show was November of 2020, and you're getting ready to compete in 2 days, right?
Yes,
So what is this
exactly.
show? What's the name of this show?
This is Colorado State Championships. It's a state level competition. And so my goal right now is to do really well in women's physique. And then I'm also doing figure. I'm just trying to figure out where I fit. But my coach says I epitomize women's physique. So I'm going to trust him
So
and
you
just go
did figure
for
the
it.
first time, right?
I'm sorry. I can't. Wait, you're cutting out.
Hold on. Is that better?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I think so. Yeah.
Let me make sure it's not me. No, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what was I saying? So, you did figure your first competition though, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
We're going to edit this part, April.
Okay.
So you did figure your first competition, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. So I will tell you 100%. I see what your coach sees. And like, I really feel like, women's physique is definitely like, you've got the look of women's physique. I think personally, I like women's physique better myself, but I am not like you definitely have more muscle than I do.
Aw.
Need some more muscle to catch up with you, April. So, I can tell big changes in you.
Mhm,
Like, since we met in person in March of 2020, like,
mhm.
dang, you have made like big, big changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
how do you feel like with things? Like, what do you feel has changed the most in your physique since you started competing?
Um, well, I've learned how to diet better. And obviously I've gained muscle. Looking at my pictures, I would say, like, I looked at my prep pictures from before and now, even though my body fat isn't quite as low as I want it to be right now, I look way better, even though I have a little bit higher body fat now. It's weird because, like, I thought I'm chasing this number thinking, oh, I have to be at this certain number for body fat. But my coach had to, like, set me straight because he's like, I don't care about that number. What matters is what you look like on stage, and you look way better than you did before. And
Right.
so, like, building that muscle and having more muscle has made me look way better. And I feel like being able to learn how to prep and to follow the plan and everything has been the key to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always thought kind of that I had a number in my head of where I needed to be, like on stage too. But
Hmm.
every show I improved. But my body fat was still not where I thought it needed to be, but
Yeah,
I was obviously leaner. And it's like, you get to the point, and you know this, but when you're at stage lean, you're kind of at the unhealthy point at that part, and it's like,
hmm,
that's why you've got the peak week, and that's it, because you cannot maintain that. And that is something that I hope listeners will take away. This is not competition lean is not something you can maintain, like, and you shouldn't maintain it, because
hmm.
it screws your hormones up, right? And it's like, it messes you, like, physiologically, you should not stay in that place, because things happen, right? You get to where, you've got that foggy brain. You start, like, I felt like all the time when I competed, if I was a couple of weeks out, I became like more accident prone. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm going to hurt myself if I do this certain thing that I don't normally do. It was like I had to be extra careful, because it's like, you're not really all the way there. It's
I'm
like you
not.
start you're running on empty. You're not functioning the best, right? And it's like your brain is just way out there, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I get it. It's hard, and so you should not stay there. But yeah, I think the key thing there is that don't feel like you have to be a certain percentage, like, of
Yeah,
body fat, right? Because it is more important. Like, you're not being tested on your body fat when you step on stage. You're
no.
being tested on, it's your physique, it's your whole package. So, like, this girl over here may be 5% leaner than this girl over here, but this girl here is like, it's proportioned better. It looks better. So, like, your body fat percentage doesn't even matter. um it's
Mhm,
all in, how the person holds it and how their physique looks overall, right?
right.
So, what would you say, like, are the best practices, like, for staying on track when you have a big goal, like competition? Like,
For me, it was really okay, first of all, it was learning those habits, the routines, making sure that was the beginning, right? And now that I'm, like, here in prep and, like, what has helped me the most is it's like scheduling out everything, and then like I time out my meals, when I eat, what I eat. I'm doing everything exactly the same. And that has been the key to this prep is every single day, like when like I eat at the same exact time and things like that. That has been the biggest help for me. It sounds so simple, but it
Mm.
works.
Well, it's routine, right?
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of people, even in like not competitive goals, but if you're just trying to change your physique, people underestimate the value of consistency and
Yeah.
planning.
Uh-huh.
And if you have meals and you have to eat these 5 meals or whatever it may be in a day, but you eat your first meal and you go to work, and then you let 5 or 6 hours go by and you're off, right? What do you do at that point? Most people are like, forget it. I screwed up today. I'm just going to eat whatever they got in the break room, right?
No. No.
So,
Yes.
what would you tell them to do?
Bring your food to the break room.
Right. So
I have all my
just
food
get
at
right back on
work.
track with
Yes.
what that meal is, right? So, like, I think what happens, like for me, if I go too long without food, and like let's say I don't schedule it like you recommend doing, then I'm starving, right?
Mhm.
Then you just want to eat anything. So you have to plan it, you have to bring it. There aren't really valid excuses when you have
Mhm.
a goal, right?
Right.
There are
Right.
things that you can do to stay on track. If you don't, that's really the choice that you're making. You're
Mhm.
choosing to not get to where you want to be because there's no reason you can't.
Right. Exactly.
You choose the
Mhm.
food, right? Nobody's
Mhm.
telling you what you got to put in your mouth. You know what you're supposed to eat. And if you don't eat it, then whose fault is that?
Yeah. And there's been so many times where I missed meals and I've ruined it and I messed up, but I've really learned, like, if I schedule everything out and I have that meal at 11, I have that meal at 3, I go work out, I have my post-workout meal. And if I skip one of those meals, it just, it's messes everything up. So I have learned out of, making mistakes, that you can correct it also by scheduling it.
Right. And it doesn't have to be that level of stress. I think that a lot of people make it, like
Mhm.
let's say you miss your one meal and you know what it's supposed to be. Well, you know that when that happens to you, it creates a stressor, right?
Mhm.
Because you should have had it at a certain time. But on the other hand, it doesn't have to be as much of a stressor as some people make it, because some people use that as a reasoning to say, I screwed it up, everything's ruined now. It's not that big of a deal, right? You can just
Mhm.
get back on track. You don't have to like totally go off the deep end because you
Right.
missed one meal, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
if you're that kind of person, then you have to be planned. Like you
Mhm.
have to have it. Don't leave your house without stuff. I've had clients tell me before, well, I left it at home. Well, you know what I do? I get somebody to go get it for me. Can you please go pick it up? I'm going to be late to work because I had to turn around and go get my food.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd understand. So, let me see. I got one other question I wanted to ask you because I made a list, April.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so how would you suggest for somebody to like somebody that's brand new, they haven't competed, what would you tell them? Like, what is something that you think they need to know going into the competition? How should they start out? Like, what should be their first step if they're thinking this is something that they want to do?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess start out by learning about bodybuilding. Maybe like looking at what other people are doing. I always like to like look at mentors or someone that is where I want to be and like follow them and see how they maintain their lifestyle, I guess. And then like just find someone to look up to learn from. And then of course always have to get a coach and follow the plan and things like that. And know that like nobody thinks they can do it. Like I never thought I could do it. I never thought of myself that way. But it's attainable if you put your mind to it.
And once you do your first competition, then it makes it a whole lot easier, right? Don't
Right.
you feel like, because I was talking about this earlier, if somebody does one competition, I've seen so many people, like one of my boyfriend's friends, he competed in men's physique. Men's physique. He did one show and he's like, that's it. Like, I'm never going to do it again. Right. It was so bad for him. He said, forget it. And I said, I pretty much see like two kinds of people: the people who start and then they're like, yes, this is for me. And at least ride that competition wave out for a few years. Right. And then there's the person who does it once and they're like, that was terrible. I'm not doing it again. Right. Do you see people that are that way? Like they do one and then like, cause I've seen a lot of people, even like famous people. And it was like, I look back like at my muscle and fitness magazines and I'm like, yeah, it was like, she was it for like a hot minute. It was about like 6 months and then it was the end. And it's like, I feel like for me, and this could be you too, I feel like it is a total lifestyle. Like I don't even think if I didn't compete again, I would still keep doing the things that I do to compete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that's the way I live. The way I live is like around lifting and building and getting better like all the time. And that's like what competition is, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yes.
about you being better. Obviously you're going to be up against other people, but the ultimate goal is for you to improve yourself, right?
Right. Right.
So as a new competitor, if I came to you and I said, okay, tell me one thing that might surprise me when I'm getting ready to compete. What do you think they should be? What should a person be prepared for that they might not think of?
That might surprise a new competitor.
Hmm.
That I guess the big thing is like nobody's perfect and everybody has, you know, challenges and stuff. And I guess that's surprising to me because I thought you had to be perfect to compete. And I realized like we all struggle and
Yeah,
it's like we support each other to get through it and to get better.
right, right.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing too is that when you like, if you are really prepping for a show, you know that posing is key, right?
Hmm.
And so on that note, as far as talking of nobody's perfect, right? It's really about making the most of what you have, you know?
Hmm.
So it's presenting your best self, right? Because the way you stand and the way I stand might not look exactly the same. So, like, yeah, we all have to do the same quarter turns and we
Hmm.
have to do like front side, rear side, relaxed poses, which are totally not relaxed, right?
I know.
But then when you do your individual presentations and you do like your front double bicep, your tricep, your side chest, all of that in women's physique, you and I may not present ourselves the same at all. Sometimes you have a better side, sometimes a slight twist makes you look better, right? So it's how you are altering your position on stage to best present it to the judges. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people think that you're going to go up there and everybody's going to look the same, but you're not even posing the same. You're not holding things the same. So I think that's important to remember too. It's just to present what you have the best, right?
Yes. Good. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, April. So what else would you have to say to our listeners that are interested in competition? What else would you tell anybody? Any parting words of advice?
Um, well, if you're really interested in it, just go for it and don't waste time. Do it as soon as possible, and know that it does take time. So it's not like it's going to happen overnight. It could take you a year to get, to prep yourself for a competition. Not saying that you have to be on full like prep, but for bodybuilding, it takes a lot of time to build muscle. It's not just going to happen in a month. You have to really
Lord,
work hard.
girl, you are preaching to the choir. I am like, I got to be the hardest gainer of anybody. I like, it is really super hard for me to gain. Like, and this is one thing I have learned, and this is why I said I'm only going to compete in even years now, because it literally takes me a good year to a year and a half, probably, to even make any noticeable change in my physique. I mean, I've been lifting for like, I started lifting almost 30 years ago. So
Wow.
how much more can I, you know what I'm saying? At that point, when you've been lifting like over 20 years, over 25 years, my first competition was in 2000, back when they had two different categories for physique. I mean, not physique, for figure. You had a 1-piece and a 2-piece round. So that's how long ago I did my first show. So at that point, it's kind of like, since 2000, I've been doing this pretty consistently. So at that point, it's kind of like you're just making minor tweaks. I think so many people get into the hurry up and I want to be there, that they don't realize how long that is going to take. It is a process. So I do think you're right in that if you want to compete, it's probably best just to go ahead and get in there, right? And then you learn and you make the adjustments. So you're always improving. You're never going to feel like you're 100% ready, especially on your first show.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Do you feel like way more confident now than when you competed the first time?
Yes. And I just keep wanting to try more over and over because I know I can do better.
Yeah.
So
Well,
huh?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm reversing out of this prep, but then I'm actually doing another show in a month, and then I'll end it, but for a little bit. But like I just want to see how much more I can do.
Well, April, at that point, you're not even reversing. You're almost just maintaining into your
Yeah.
next peak week.
Yes, basically.
So a little bit of recovery. You get to breathe for a minute and then start your next peak week, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, but I think that I think you've got lots of good points. I appreciate you so much coming on to talk to us, and be sure that you send me the information on your show, your coaching team, or your coach and your team, and so I can put all of that in the notes too. Okay.
Okay. I will. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's great to talk to you, and I will be watching for you, April.
Okay, I'm gonna go practice my posing now.
All
Okay.
right. I'll talk to
So
you
I'll talk
soon.
to you later.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.